coming along the bottom.
Oh, no kidding. We get questions and answers, huh?
Yeah, some people start to ask questions. So how you doing? We live already.
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. It's we had a bit of rain over here, but that's our winter. So
Yeah,
it's
rain.
been kind of nice. It just gets dark earlier, less sun, but it's still a pretty place.
Yeah, yeah. Do So let's get started. Cause like I said, I didn't want to hold you up too long. I know it's y'all daytime over there too. So where are you from?
Well, originally, I was born in Detroit, Michigan,
Wow.
and I grew up in Detroit as a kid, uh, right there, 8 Mile and Van Dyke. Pretty wild area now. But I left there when I was about 10 years old
Oh,
and headed out west towards Phoenix, Arizona, and then settled in Las Vegas when I was about 11. And I kind of spent my whole high school years there in Vegas.
in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah. The, when did you move to Hawaii? Are you just after high school?
No, 1980, I came to Hawaii. I graduated high school, Ralph, in 1976. So there's a lot of history there, brother.
Yeah. Oh, you was in Hawaii when I was stationed there, because I was in there in
Yeah,
'86.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So any social networks or anything you want to promote?
Oh, well, I'm all over social network. As part of our gallery gig in the art business, as many of us do, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, as they call it now.
Yeah.
Anywhere anybody needs to find me, they can find me through my name, Dennis Matheson. That's it.
Yeah. So tell us something about yourself. How long you been airbrushing?
50 years.
Wow.
Yeah, does that surprise you?
Yeah, that's a well. I've been I'm like 20 something, but 50. That's a long time, bro.
Yeah. Ralph, I consider myself a second generation custom painter artist, airbrusher. I'm second generation, being the first generation guys were guys like, Roth, Von Dutch, Bob Spina, Tom Kelly. I kind of second generation from all of them, you know,
Yeah.
and when I grew up in Vegas, that's who kind of I learned from was just seeing airbrush and down in Laguna one time, and I was about 12 years old, and kind of picked it up, and then came back to Vegas where I lived and just researched it. There wasn't too many people that actually did it back then. It was just like,
Yeah. Yeah. So what airbrush did you start out with back then?
well, the first airbrush I got was interesting is I saw others using, and about the only thing that was really available was a Pache VL, which is what I used. And about the only other airbrush you could even see anywhere was a Binks. A single action was still available. And we would see guys back then in the 70s that were working in car shows that were using single action airbrushes, not the button on top, pull back double action, but rolling off the big. I mean, it was pretty basic stuff in the beginning. And they were knocking out shirts fast with single action airbrushes. Amazing technique.
Man, I bet it was. What about so what airbrush do you use now?
Well, I kind of evolved with all the airbrushes, as time grew, and a BL was great. I used it for decades, and kind of grew out of the T-shirt thing, and then went into the automotive thing, and the BL worked fine for that. We didn't even see anything like Iwatas around, and when I was in Hawaii, I was still using the BL in the beginning, and then I started to migrate into other airbrushes as I'd see them. I just always wanted to experiment or try something new. So I kind of got into trying Thayer Chandler. They came out with the Vega. I had that, a couple of those, and we actually had in our little shop in Honolulu, our first shop, we actually started selling a few airbrushes because it was hard to get here. And so we became kind of the network, so today I'm using Iwata stuff, but in the first Iwata I got was probably I'm going to guess it in around 1985, 86 was an SV.
That's when they first came. Probably were
Yeah,
like the first ones, yeah.
yeah. And to me, it was like a collector's item to just have it. And
Yeah.
I wasn't real comfortable with the first one. And I still would work my workhorse, my VL, to get my work done, but I try using the Iwata. And I would try to do some illustration with it because it was more known as an illustrator's airbrush than it was, a workhorse airbrush.
Yeah.
And today, I got the whole Iwata lineup. I'm working with Iwata for decades. And I've talked in their factory in Yokohama. And so, I have pretty much every airbrush they've made. But I think my favorites today is I'll use an Eclipse. Side with that is a Micron, and then a TH, which is like a little mini spray gun.
Yeah.
And with those three airbrushes, man, I can pretty much cover anything I'm trying to do pretty quick.
Oh,
from
wow.
large backgrounds to detail stuff. And now there's a new Takumi, which is the little detailed Micron they're making. That thing is really rocks. I'm using that almost every day now.
Oh wow, yeah, because you still do the tikis on the metal. Is it a metal or like a metal sheet? I can't call it. I can't think of it. A little metal thing.
Aluminum. Yeah, aluminum. Well, yeah. Okay, well, it's my RT ball went from T-shirts, got the whole automotive thing, and it's but my work today is mostly on aluminum, but I also do a lot of work on copper. But really, to summarize it, yeah, I'm working on metal, and I'm working on my work is like a mixed media where half the work is the carving in the metal, and the other half of it is the paint. So it's kind of it's not one or the other. More of my illustration stuff, like my tiki stuff, that's more paint. But a lot of my waves and my tropical stuff. I find myself painting more flowers than I ever dreamed I would in my career. Okay. Hey, that's what sells. That's what I'm gonna paint.
Yeah, true. So I know when I came there, how long when did you open up your shop?
The shop that you went to, I opened in 97.
97.
And we were there for 25 years.
Oh wow, yeah.
And now it's been closed for 8 years. It's hard to believe that it's gone, but we were a busy place, and we had a full staff of 7 to 9 guys working, and we were painting a lot of motorcycle stuff, 5,000 to 7,000 motorcycle parts a year.
Damn. Wow. Yeah, because I know when I was there, we went to the mall. I always thought it was you because I really didn't see a lot of airbrush artists over there when I was there, but I thought it was you who painted our shirts. It was another artist there in the mall.
Yeah, but we started in the mall. So when I came in 1980, the goal was, I was set up in a Wolver store in Las Vegas. I had my first shop in Las Vegas. I opened it at 18 years old.
Wow.
Prior to that, I worked for the Rat's Hole on the Strip from the time I was like 15 to the time I was 18. I was an airbrush T-shirt artist in their window. That's kind of where I got my start. Mm-hmm. And then I opened up my own shop going, okay, I'm going to take my shirts and go get my own place and make all my own money and not have to give anybody a percentage. And at that time, the shirt Rat's Hole was paying me 50 cents a shirt.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So you had to paint fast and you had to paint a lot. But that's how you got good,
Yeah.
And then so when I got my own shop, I went and set up on the other side of town, a little warehouse, cost me $100 a month. And I could hardly pay the rent half the time. But I sat there and I waited for people to come and buy something. And it just didn't happen that way, man. I had to go out and find it. So I kind of went door to door to the businesses like shopping centers and going, hey, can I do any wall murals or shirts and all that? And I found that that's not what they wanted. They wanted signage. Like, can you put my business hours or my business name on the wall?
Oh, yeah.
Windows. And so, as a surviving artist, I'm like, okay, I go down to the airbrush place, the art supply store, and say, what do I need? And they would tell me, here, you need this brush, and you need this paint, and you need this, and you go do it. So I go back and I just keep redoing it. So the guy would say, hey, it's good. We'll pay you. And so that's how I learned. And I just grew from there. From then, I did that shop and got busy doing all kinds of odd jobs and car shows and went and did shirts in malls and set up in a Woolworth store. And the Woolworth store, man, at Christmas time, it rocked. I had no idea the potential of what airbrush could do. I'm only 18 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, my gosh, I mean, thousands of dollars, you know, and I was like, but I mean, you work hard and we all know that to make that money. And it's exhausting. But at the end of it, Christmas is over and we're just a temporary thing in their mind. And they're like, bye, see you later. See you next year, you know.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, well, what the hell are we going to do for the other, 11 months of a year? And then, so I ended up going back to the rat hole chain down to Daytona and airbrushing on Daytona. And in the late 70s, Ralph, there were 100 airbrushers inside 3 blocks. I mean, it was insane how hot airbrush t-shirts were. And, I got tons of friends in that business that are still going strong today. Mark Rush, Mickey Harris comes from that era. I mean, Mickey and I worked together, and a lot of great painters. And we are all the second generation guys. And the rat soul thing, the whole t-shirt thing kind of died out. While I was in Daytona, we corresponded with Woolworths. Woolworths was a shopping chain, right? Like Sears.
Yeah.
So I wrote letters. My friend that I was working with, his mom and dad got stationed at Hickam in Honolulu at the Air Force Base. So he said, hey, man, my mom and dad are moving to Hawaii. Why don't we go check it out? So I'm like, okay, that sounds great. So I wrote letters to the Woolworth store, old school, man. No internet. I'm talking Polaroid pictures and pen and paper.
Yeah.
And wrote to the store saying, would you be interested in what a deal or offer, what we do it? And they took it. And so I packed up everything I owned and shipped it to Honolulu. Never even been here.
Wow.
And had a setup in Woolworth. And we set up for the holidays at Christmas time. And, we kicked ass. We did really good. I mean, we had, we brought about 5 guys over from Florida to work for us. And, we were painting around the clock for the holidays. And we said there was no one here. No one else was doing it. Crazy Shirts had done it in the past and left. There were a few guys that had come through. But we said, hey, this is the spot to stay. So we took the business and grew it into 9 locations and had 45 airbrushers on staff. And this was about 1980, 82 to 85, 86. And, all those locations. And I didn't paint anymore. I mean, I ran around telling everybody, why are you out of black paint? And how come, what do you mean you need more tips? And what do you mean you split your tip? Where's your airbrush? You forgot it. It was just, I was just being a boss. And all these kids, they all dreamed of wanting to be, working shopping mall and be a star airbrush artist. And that's what we did. And yeah.
Did you have to do a lot of your own training? Did you have to train them, or you hired people that came in already know how to do it?
Well, yeah, but you hire people for their talent. I mean, and I love working with artists. I worked with so many in my life, and in our shop we had commercial artists and all that. And I've always been the boss, but it's like you hire them for their skill, and every artist has a certain uniqueness to them. Not all of it's good.
Yeah.
And some of it's not real bad, but they're still talented. So you have to learn to manage them and, work with them and, make sure they show up to work. And, and some of them are super talented, but man, you can't let them talk to anybody. They just want to paint,
Yeah. Then you got your prima donnas, then you got the ones who, you got a lot of
training. You got your training. Of course, it happens a gazillion times. You train them, and a year later, they're opening up their own business.
Yeah, right, you always got to worry about that. Yeah. So, is it any more? It's now, or are there a lot more different shops now down there?
No, the legacy kind of went, Ralph, where we were, we had the t-shirt thing going, and it kind of petered out on us around 92, 94. I think our last t-shirt location we had was in Ala Moana Center, which is huge here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
In Honolulu. And then also we had one at the Pearl Harbor Navy Exchange.
Oh,
which
wow.
was a really good location. And those two locations were kind of our last ones. We kind of got down to where we only had a handful of artists left, and the t-shirt thing was kind of burning out. You know, everybody already had a shirt. You know, we go out to the events and they're like, "Oh, hi, how you guys doing?"
Yeah,
Yeah, I still got my shirt, thanks.
yeah,
But it kind of, it's an island. You run out of people, and so we kind of moved on from there. You know, my wife and I, we opened up our shop, kind of moved off of the shirt thing and got into doing the bikes and the cars again, and just kind of evolved, and it just kept moving that way. Today, I don't think there's any single airbrush place set up freehand where there's a guy where you can go to and get. I mean, a couple Moonlight guys I know,
oh,
and
wow.
refer to them, but there's no more. I mean, not the swap meet, not a shopping mall. There's no one here, man.
Oh, wow. Todd said, hey, like I said, like at the bottom is gonna be a couple of people saying something and stuff. Red
Oh,
said,
okay.
anybody. Ed said, is anybody you taught still airbrushing now?
Yes,
Yeah.
many. And well, I taught for years, and I mean, I taught my first classes back in the 70s in Vegas. I taught classes in Hawaii. I ran a ton of classes, and of course, the guys that worked for me that I taught, they moved on. When we closed down the shop, Mike Query goes by Wish. He's a hot motorcycle painter and airbrusher. He's still going strong. Kamile, who worked for us for all the way back to the beginning T-shirt days, he's Undertaker custom paint, And so yeah, they all kind of went on and doing other. Some guys are doing tattoo stuff now, but yeah, they're still doing their thing.
Yeah, I know the artists either evolved to motorcycle or tattoo. They go either automotive or tattoo.
Yeah.
Well, there was another question about hold on, where's Ed questions? He said what fetish are I taking to? What is your main clientele now?
Well, not my main clientele right now are what I call collectors that go into the art galleries because I'm a pretty much 24/7 art gallery artist now.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened in the transition, Ralph, was I was walking both sides. About 25 years ago, I had an art gallery approach me and ask me about doing some work. And our shop, we were busy. We were very blessed. I was very grateful to have the crew I had. We were all friends. I mean, that's a real treasure to have a good staff of guys that work for you for, 15, 20 years, man. That's rare. So I started, transitioning into the art gallery thing, thinking gallery schmallery. Here I got a busy shop, got a guy who wants a helmet painted. He's willing to pay us $500. We can paint a nice helmet. He's going to pick it up. He's going to pay us $500, and we're going to say thank you very much. See you next time.
Yeah.
Gallery takes your art, hangs it on a wall, and then waits for someone to buy it.
Yeah, the weight game.
Like, oh man, that ain't my deal. So I knew all the gallery guys, Lassen, Weiling. I mean, they're a small island. We're a community. We were blessed. We were Harley Davidson's factory painters for Hawaii. We had a title. We were a licensed shop, and gallery owner approached me from Maui and said, would you try it? He saw some stuff I had painted for Iwata that they used at SEMA, and said, will you try putting a couple pieces in the gallery? My wife coached me and said, yeah, you should try it, see how you do. So I painted 9 pieces on metal, did the brown metal thing, and some bamboo, and painted some tiki stuff and some hot rod stuff, and I had a little, a couple tikis driving a hot rod with a stick shift.
I remember that one.
That was my style. I was an old car show guy, and the gallery staff kind of took it in and went, "No way, this guy's stuff can sell." They laughed at it. They just said, "Put it." I know in an art gallery, you start in the back, and if you sell, you move forward in the gallery. And they did just that. They put me in the back. I went over to a meeting to them. They all kind of rocked their heads saying it would never work. And so it did work. And it was surprising because what the reality was is that, art gallery business, art becomes very mundane and very repetitive. And there was such an era of below dolphins and whales and turtles that it had been played out to death. And so no one really wanted to buy that stuff anymore, even though there's some pretty heavy names in that business selling it. Lassen, Weiland, Robert Lynn Nelson. I mean, I knew all those guys. And so I go in there with my stuff is different, and that's what made it different. It was a different era, good for change.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how that went. Yeah.
What made you come up with the tikis? I know tiki's a big thing over there, but your tikis are like, so what made you come up with that concept?
Well, I love the cars, and you know, most of my metalwork, if those of you that have seen it, is actually not really all painting. Most of it's carving, and a lot of artists think dimensionally like 3D. And so I did carve tikis. In fact, I got a workstation in the back where I would get stumps, and I got a whole chest full of tools, and I'd go out there and throw a chainsaw around, and I would carve out my own tikis.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just loved them. I studied them, went down to the Bishop Museum and talked to the ladies and stuff, and tried to understand the tiki art, and not, you know, I respect the culture in Hawaii and living around it. And I didn't want to plagiarize anything, and I didn't want to take advantage of it anyway. I wanted to enjoy it and actually be part of it. So I studied the building of the tikis and how they're made. And so the tikis that I create, I tikify my friends. You know, a lot of them look like people I know, or you know, or someone that I've been around. I mean, I look at like, grab this one here. I look at like this. It's like, if those you can see, it's like a cute little couple tiki.
Yeah.
These aren't like Hawaiian tiki religious figures, man. These are like some guy and his girlfriend, and he's got a gold tooth, and you know, he's got a little skull buckle around his waist, and you know, that's my style.
Yeah.
I tikify people. That's how I kind of got into it, and people liked it. But I've always been on that kind of lighthearted, whimsical kind of style of my art, telling stories.
Yeah. So yeah, because I think when I first saw you, some of your stuff, it was a tikis and all the little fun stuff you were doing with them, and that was kind of cool. I thought that was cool. Was that one of your best sellers, the tikis? Or I know you was doing the bubbles or the whales or the I can't even think. It's the
jellyfishes.
Jellyfishes, that's it.
Yeah, jellyfish is probably one of my signature pieces. But the truth was, I love doing the tiki stuff, and I can really tell stories in it about a guy and his dog, a guy and his motorcycle, and I can actually see people in it when I tikify them. And you know, like I got my two old neighbors, they're probably in their 80s, and they're out there with their papaya tree and their banana tree every day, nourishing. I draw them into little tiki characters, but that's what makes them cool, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of characterizing them. And so in that side of it, I would actually move on to, I'm like, okay, I painted enough tiki stuff. I want to do something different. So I went into the sea life stuff and in the gallery. And it would have been maybe 20 years ago. So tiki, it was selling. It did pretty good. And the biggest tiki piece I did, and that kind of kicked off the whole career, was I did this large 4x5 foot tiki playing poker. You know, they're all sitting around the table playing poker, kind of like the dogs.
Yeah, I kind of remember that one.
Yeah, it was a pretty popular piece. I saw a lot of it in print, and I did that in the galleries because the galleries didn't see my work working out. They still had me in the back, hot rods, tiki's head. I did this major piece, 4x5 foot piece. They put a $60,000 price tag on it.
Oh wow!
Because they said, "What are you thinking?" And I'm like, "Well, you know, I gotta impress people. I had to show them what my skill level was to even sell the little stuff. You know, it's like." You got to show them stuff they can't afford, so they like stuff they can afford. You know,
well, that's
good. It works, and you know, so they may not buy that big painting, but at least they know I'm capable of it, and so at least there's value in the smaller pieces that might be 1,000 or 2,000, and that's kind of the way the art business works, and a fine art gallery, and so that's what happened. And the big painting sold in like 2 weeks. And it sold twice in one day, wow. Which was amazing. And a customer came in and said, I want to purchase this painting. I'll be back tonight to pay for it. And in our gallery business, that's like, yeah, right, here, all the time. Everybody just kind of moves on, and day goes on. Later that day, another couple come in, and they literally purchase it. They call me up on the phone. I talk to them on the phone. Tell them the whole story behind how it's done. They purchased the painting. Amazing day. Everyone in the gallery is so excited. You know, who's really excited is me. I can't believe I sold the painting for that much.
Yeah.
That's what the gallery sells it for. I'm literally a wholesaler to a retailer.
Yeah.
And so they sell it for that. They're excited. But what happened is later that day, the guy from earlier that day returned and said, yeah, this sold sign on here, that's me. I'm here to pay for it. And the gallery's like, get out of here. What are you talking about? And so they're like, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, I paid for it. Remember Andre? Tell Andre I'm here. And, and so they realized he's serious. So they called me up and say, hey, you know that tiki painting? I'm like, yeah. They said, you paint another one. I go, oh my God, what happened? I'm thinking, they dropped it, it fell out of a truck.
Yeah.
Something disastrous, right? They're like, no, you won't believe this, another guy here. So, and so they put him on the phone, and I ended up taking a commission for a second painting. But I changed it. Come to find out that guy was from Vegas. So I made it look more like a Vegas TV scene, just playing poker. Great day. So they sold the painting twice in one day.
Wow.
The word spread all through Front Street. All the galleries like, oh man, that tiki guy sold, those two paintings like over $100,000. And it's like, they're like, wow. All of a sudden, the gallery staff who didn't like my work, remember.
Yeah.
Everything started selling.
Wow.
Because they realized it was hot,
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
How long did it take you to do that piece? Did it take a while?
Month, 6 weeks maybe, every day kind of thing. Yeah, I really put my heart and soul in it.
Oh wow.
And I do that occasionally. I do maybe one piece a year that's that kind of level of a painting. But the rest of it's like you say, you gotta mix it up. So do some little stuff that's affordable. And the jellyfish thing, when I took the sea life stuff in, I brought in the jellyfishes, and the gallery's going, oh no, not sea life, we're so burned out on it. So many whales and dolphins and turtles.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, but these are different. It's on metal. And no one was really doing any metal stuff back, in the 90s. And so, people were like, oh, I've never seen anything like that. It looks like it moves, and my bubbles, and I had my style, and the jellyfish sold. But I had this loyalty to my own work that I didn't want to just knock out dolphins and whales like they had all seen. And obviously, the gallery staff wasn't into it. The customers weren't into it anymore. It was on every placemat and towel and sunglass rack everywhere. So I'm like, okay, what do I paint next? So I started painting these sea dragons. You ever see those that I did?
I think so. Yeah, the seahorses. Yeah.
Yeah, man, those were mean. They gave them like that edgy dragon kind of look. And, I did a lot of magazine articles in the past, and wrote up a lot of stuff on the technique. And people started picking up how I was doing my bubbles, and kind of just started style. So the paintings that I would do for the gallery, I would try to find unique animals that just people weren't doing. And until I kind of got a name on them, and people started to like them and buy them. After I sold like 400 jellyfish pieces.
Wow. You had a stencil made too of your bubbles. You sell it. Yeah. That was good. You still offer that, or that was you still?
Yeah. Well, they wanted me. I did this whole series of the bubble effect stencils for them, and the Tiki Master stencils, and the Kanji Masters, and the wood grain ones. Things that kind of are attractive from my art. And the bubble stencils, they did pretty good with that. And I used to love going into another art gallery and seeing a guy trying to paint jellyfish.
Yeah.
He's using my bubble stencil, and I'm like, yeah, man, there's a little bit of something there for me,
Yeah.
Well, it's all good.
So, what's your biggest inspiration?
Oh man, well, the biggest inspiration is having someone buy your art. in the sense of, it's not about the money. I don't mean that. I mean, but the sense of they feel honored to have it. Even when I painted a motorcycle, for someone to go around and select you and paint their bike, you know, and your bike is like a major bike. I'm talking like a $100,000 chopper they build, and they want you to paint it, and you're part of the whole program. It's honoring you. You know, it's like, wow, it's so cool. That's the thing I love the most. When people would buy a painting and say, "Oh man, thank you so much for, you know, do this painting. We have it in our home," or they send me a picture of their whole family standing next to it in their home. You know, it's just so honorable. You know, and it's not anything about money. It's about that personal thing where it's like I can leave something that'll always be there. You know.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Where do you get your vision? Where do you get your vision from? The vision for your idea, for your designs, or it's just how you come up with it every day?
Where do I live, Ralph? Where do I live, Ralph?
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm in my vision. You know, I look outside and see, you know, a lizard, or I go out to the ocean. I see the surf's up, and you know, I go see it. I'm walking down the beach outside my house, and I come across a couple turtles in the sand. You know, I go camera crazy. I love to photograph. I got some really good camera equipment, and I got pretty good at it over the years. I've been a photographer, so-called, since I was a kid. So, I mean, I come across a couple turtles, you know, hundreds of photographs later, that's my inspiration.
Yeah.
I think it's really great to use something that is, how would you say, part of, you know, like if I can take my own photograph, the whole thing is my own thing. I see the turtle, I take the photograph of the turtle, and then I actually paint the turtle, and now the painting has really becomes pure, you know, all the way from the beginning of being there, seeing it, you know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of those lizards. It was they're called geckos over there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And my wife was screaming. I'm like, what are you screaming for? Oh, that gecko. It's a lizard. What are you talking about? All your life you called it a lizard. Now all of a sudden, for one way in Hawaii, it's a gecko.
Yeah, it's a gecko. Yeah, we got all kinds, man. We got all kinds.
Yeah. Is there a ritual that you do before you start a job?
No, you know, how would you say, a multitasker. I have a productive instinct. It's like, you know, a lot of the work I do is different processing, like the metal stuff. You know, I got to work on this piece for an hour and let this dry. I got to work on that piece for an hour and let that dry. So sometimes I have several pieces going on, and you know, I'm anxious to kind of get up and go to work. And so, you know, it's to me, I enjoy. I love what I do, and the beauty of what I'm doing today compared to what I did at the beginning of my career is I'm painting the stuff I want to paint. You know, I'm like, oh man, I got this idea I want to do. Right, I just happened to get a couple new turtle pictures last weekend, and I want to use these, so I'm inspired to do that. And that's my ritual, is to like get going. I'm like, hey, I got this. So every day I got a stack of these to work on. I got that half done, that half done, and I just kind of keep you motivated. You know?
Yeah, that's it's like, I guess that's a good life on the island, huh? Be on the island, it's like island life.
Yeah, well, at least I can paint with the windows open all the time. That's kind of good and healthier, especially when you're airbrushing all the time. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And like you said, it's raining over. It's December is rainy season over there.
Yeah.
I hated it when there was that. Are you teaching anybody now? Do you have an apprentice?
No, my last apprentice would be Mark Chu and Mike Query. That's our last shop, which we closed 8 years ago. Mark was with me 20 years. Mark was my apprentice in that sense, and we worked side by side. Mark was not an artist in any means, but he would try. Mm-hmm. He tried to do True Fire. He tried to airbrush a picture of his dog. He tried, but he wasn't an artist for nothing. But he understood how to tell me when I was bad or wrong, or how to correct something, or what it needed. He had the eye. And because he kind of grew up, Mark started coming to work for me when he was 17. But he was a painter, meaning he ran the spray booth, and he could do 5 guys' jobs when it came to painting motorcycle parts. He was awesome, and he made good money. I was happy. So. Yeah, and so now I don't have any apprentices other than my dog Kobe. He handles my shipping department. And my wife, of course, she does a ton of work with handling all the limited editions and the book sales and the internet sales and all that. That's kind of her thing. So we work together. That's great that we can do that.
It's good to have you working on your own hours on your own time.
Yeah, which is all the time.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's how it was for me in the mall. It was like I've been in the mall for 20 years, and it's like the mall hours and the rules started to get to me. So it's time for me to start something different. Yeah, because I was in there for like 20 years, and now we're getting ready to start the holiday hours of the staying late and for no reason.
Oh man, I lived it. We did it. I passed out once on Easel in Alamoana. I mean, we were going strong from basically Thanksgiving weekend all the way till the day after Christmas sale. And it was grueling, man. But that was, that's that gig. That's what we did for years. And, hey, it helped me buy a house in Hawaii. That's all I can say.
Hey, that's a beautiful thing, especially over there.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's just starting?
Diversify. Don't always count on what you see in someone else do is going to be your gig, what you're going to end up following. You may be inspired by what you see someone else doing, and you may like it, and you may think, man, I need to do that because that's working for that person. But that may not be what your calling is. But if you're an artist, you need to find that niche. And it's like I said earlier, Ralph, I never dreamed I would paint 1,000 flower paintings.
Yeah.
But I got really good at it. And I'm like, hey, that's what, in the business of art, you got to find something that they like, or jellyfish paintings. I mean, I painted one that was fun, but I never, they want more and more of them. So when you find something and you're venturing through it, trying to find yourself, try things, try everybody's things. And then what you find you're more comfortable at and other people like that, your version of that to do it is, that's where you need to roll on it, and then follow through.
Yeah. So, how did you decide about doing your book? How did that come about?
Well, I talked about, I used to write I wrote over 100 trade magazine articles over the years, from airbrush action to art and action to, I did them all. And it became such a trend that there was a few handful of us that wrote a lot of articles and contributed to those sources. We didn't have internet, so magazines was the outlet, the way to go. I taught at all the getaways and was part of all those events of teaching in the past. And then I was offered the book offer, the deal to make a book a couple times. And for some reason, it just never worked out. And then, which is kind of glad that when I started the book project that I just did a couple years ago, this book is more about my art and not about how to do my art. Yeah. Where the other authors were, back in the magazine days and getaway days and all those events, they all wanted to do books about how to airbrush. And I get that. And those books are needed out there for people. But that would be a book about how to airbrush. Well, in the art gallery business, we find that one of the pinnacle things you want to try to achieve is to have a book of your life's work. So, I needed to paint for 20 years and have 1,000 paintings in my belt, and some of them that were really good and were worth making a book. You got to have something to make the book up. So the book took me 3 years, and by putting the whole book together, I spent hours in Photoshop and on Adobe, and I learned a lot. And working with a writer, and working with the writer was like talking to a psychiatrist. Sitting down with him every day and telling my life story, and him listening to it and figuring out how messed up I was. But it just all goes deep into how it all was put together. And then when we got the book done, all the images done, it costs a lot more than I ever imagined it would. But hey, I'm already almost there to finish it. So the idea of the book was that it would be for the art galleries to sell the books. And it would be a gallery coffee table book. It's a nice book. It's a very nice book, well put together. We went to China to have it printed. All the files are done. All the samples were done. All the monies were sent. And then something happened we didn't predict. COVID.
Oh man. Yeah.
So everything, the book was what's called blue line. Blue line means in the book business that here's your sample, look it over, make your changes. Any changes now? Okay, these have made the changes. Now the changes are done. Now sign the blue line. We're ready to print. That's where we were on the book. And
Oh man.
the printing company calls me up or emails me and says, "Sorry, man, we're shutting down. We're going out of business. It was just a bad scene. They were in debt. There was all this stuff going on, and they said, you'll be happy to know we sent your money back." So I'm very blessed to say I got my money back, and then I'm like, oh, I don't believe this, man. I got one book sample, and I'm like, I'm that close, and it's like I wanted to finish the book, man. This is crazy. So then I go to another company. So I contact this other company outside of Ohio, and I give them the samples. I send them all the files. We go through all the files. We agree on a price. They send me sample pages. We go through them. We're down the blue line, and bam, the same exact thing happens again. They go out of business. The one guy that works at that book company refers me to a friend that he's worked with on another company outside of Chicago. So I go to those guys, and I said, oh, man, we went from making 2,000 books down to 1,000. Now I'm down to this new company outside Chicago, and they go, the book's too big. And I'm talking 11 by 14 book, a big coffee table art book.
Yeah, big book.
Yeah, and this company's going, the biggest we can do is 9 by 12. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Well, it means you got to resize all your pages.
Oh man, that's a lot of work.
300-page book, back to Photoshop, right? Oh my God. So that's done. All the pages are redone. Send it to the book. I'm like, we just make 400 books, okay? Just make the 400 books. And so they did. They printed the 400 books. We got them out. And so the book came out. I'm very proud of it. But the pain it went through, and I don't think I ever even open the book anymore nowadays and read it or anything, because I'm like, I have reread the story about my life so many times. I'm like,
yeah.
So sick of it. But the book is good. That's the book, And then the book is nice, and we sold like 320 out of 400 of them already.
Oh, that ain't bad. So how can somebody get it? How can somebody order it?
Only on my website. Yeah. Anybody wants to buy any of my art, you can go. I only have one gallery left. I'm sure you're aware of the line of fire we had.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
My main gallery was on Front Street, and I lost 80 pieces in that. Damn. And there wasn't any insurance recovery out of that or anything, so that's a total hit. And so, but we did grow our website after it. Our pivot was, okay, we'll put everything online. So my entire art catalog is now available online at DennisMathesonArt.com, which is anybody interested in anything. They set up some great pricing that isn't, a crazy pricing that they might have had to pay. And then my only other live art gallery now is in Haleiwa on my island. And they have all my big work. So I give all them my big originals. And the only place you can get my prints or my book is on my website.
Oh wow, yeah. That wasn't the Big Island that had the fire. That was
Maui.
Maui.
Yeah.
I didn't know Maui had volcanoes over there.
No, it wasn't a volcano, man. It was caused by an electrical fire.
Electrical fire.
Yeah. 2,000 people lost their homes.
Man, I watched it on the news. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now I was wondering about if you lost to the art. I thought all your stuff was on Honolulu. I didn't know you moved in and take over to Maui.
No, actually, it kind of started slowing down the last year anyway after COVID. We kind of put. I was in 7 art galleries across the country from Hawaii all the way down to Key West, Florida. And kind of, you know, being in Hawaii, I got kind of tired of all the traveling.
Mm.
I mean, I traveled a lot when I was teaching for Iwata and all the paint companies. And that was all fun back when I was in my 30s. But now, you know, it's hard to manage an art gallery that's in Florida from Hawaii.
Was that what, 5 hours over the Pacific? Is it 5 or 4 hours over the Pacific?
Oh, it's 21 hours to fly up to Key West from Hawaii.
Jeez.
You know, with all the connections. So I'm like, forget that noise. I mean, I did it, got some exposure down there. We had some things going on in Vegas and San Diego and Arizona and all that. And, but, you know, now I'm just down to, was just Lahaina and Haleiwa were my only galleries. And now that Lahaina's gone, I'm just down to Haleiwa, and I'm content with just Haleiwa. You know, I'm just kind of doing it that way and just enjoying myself a little bit more.
Okay, what is one of your biggest failures, and what did you learn from that experience?
Well, boy, the biggest one is probably 100 of them, but one big one was in that art gallery business, having your gallery owner move out on you in the middle of the night. That's failure. That's a big thing. So you learn not to be as trusting and to be more cautious on where you go. Another big failure I did recently was NFTs. Man, all the hype, everybody trying to get into NFTs and the hype. Man, if you got NFTs, so I learned the NFT thing. And as I say to anybody, you have to be willing to lose whatever you can invest your time into. So I took it very seriously and studied them and created some animation NFTs and got into all that and kind of got into more digital art and tried to do all that. And it just didn't play out, man. The NFT thing just never really worked for me.
Yeah,
so,
it seemed funny to me because it's like you could just draw something silly and somebody will give you $1 million for it if you put it online. And it's theirs. I'm like, it's an image for $1 million. But I mean, stranger things have happened. People, I don't know. If you could remember for one thing, what would it be?
If I would be remembered for it, well, I guess I keep thinking that I was going to be remembered would be for the art that I left behind. Because the thing that's beautiful about artwork is that even if I'm gone, it will still continue. It's like the song that will continue to play. So if I can just be remembered for that piece of art, even if I'm gone, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. I mean, a good thing of your legacy is that book too. I mean, all your artwork and your life is in that book. So that's going to be here forever. Yeah,
that's a great achievement, I think, in the life of any artist. You know, it's hard. There's a lot of hard work putting it together, and you know, and it's like there wasn't any money in it for it. You know, it's more like a personal reward of achieving it and doing it myself. You know, there's a ton of work. So just to get it out there, but say that, you know, leave that to my kid, you know, and say, hey, you know, my daughter can have this book. At least your dad had a book, you know, and she wasn't there, even though she hears all the old stories.
Yeah. I think you think your tikis, you'll be remembered for your tikis, more or less your tiki artwork, or your.
Well, you know, it's kind of like my artwork drops 3 levels. It's like my tiki stuff is I have a good following of the tiki art. The tiki art people are very niche. You know, they love tikis. They collect. I have a couple of collectors that have, you know, 15, 20 pieces of my tiki art. A lot of prints, but they have like their tiki room and their tiki den. You know, they're tiki guys, you know. They love that niche art. And then there's my sea life people. Which, you know, I got all my sea life stuff. They're into this water and bubbles, you know, and I spend a lot of time scuba diving. So, you know, a lot of that is life experiences. And then my other art, which is probably what I'm most known for nowadays, is my metal art. The art that isn't a tiki, that isn't a jellyfish. It's just a wave, or it's a horizon line. Or even like, I've done a couple tiger heads in copper that are just carving. You know, there's not a lot of painting on them. It's mostly just Dremel work and grinding and all that. And that artwork form has probably made me most known for my work. And it's mostly collectible because it can't be reproduced. they're all one of a kinds. The camera can't capture the grind metal art. The camera can capture the tiki or the jellyfish in the bubbles, but it can't see how that wave moves in the light. You know,
Yeah,
it's kind of
yeah,
cool.
that is cool. The oh man, I'm drawing blanks. I was gonna ask you something about something you just said. I'm gonna have to move past it. I think when I come back to it. The what does your morning routine look like?
Well, I get up in the dark with my dogs. My dogs, they're ready to eat at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's their pattern. Regardless of whatever my lifestyle wants to have, it's about them. So I get up at 6 with the dogs, grab some coffee, and then I'll probably sit down and check out my email, see what I got to respond to, because we're earlier, in Hawaii, everything. A lot of my mainland contacts are already trying to correspond with me about orders and stuff like that early today. So I kind of do that, grab a cup of coffee, and then, about 7 in the morning, I wander over to my shop. I actually work on my own property. So my big drive to work is from the front door to my studio door, and I have a 1,500 square foot art studio that I work out at home.
Oh, that's the life. That's the life right there.
Yeah,
And
just
get you
me
some
and my
Portuguese,
dog. Yeah.
get some Portuguese sausage and rice or whatever that's called. What it was?
Yeah, Portuguese sausage and rice, and of course a lot of spam here, but I don't eat that crap. So
Yeah.
it's no, but I can work at my own pace, and and then I'll get things started, and it's just I love working at home now. I've worked in crowds, I've worked in malls, I did the t-shirt thing. Gallery shows, there's always people there, and I think one of my big joys in life was to get to this point where I can work at home at my own pace and work on things I enjoy painting, like selected subjects. And I can start and go, and if I want to go run an errand, take a break, or go walk down to the beach, I can do that. Just me and my dog and my stereo, and I'm good,
That's where I'm working to get. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Oh man, I probably my biggest pet peeve I would have to say is finish something you started. I mean, if you say you're going to do something, you've got to do it.
Yeah.
If you're going to start something, finish it before you start something else. And I used to have a lot of artists working for me. Remember this.
Mm-hmm.
Drive me crazy when I'd say, okay, hey Robert, is that Harley tank almost done? The one with those 2 eagles on it. Yeah, it's almost done. And then I would come in the room an hour later, and he's working on a different project. I'm like, hey, did you finish the eagles? Oh no, I'm gonna work on that tomorrow. Biggest pet peeve. No, man, you gotta finish that tank
Before you work on something else.
Finish it. Don't start something else. Finish it. That's definitely one of my big things.
What's the one thing in your business venture that you did not expect? Yeah, we're on the flash round now because I don't want to hold you up too much longer.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We're all right. Yeah, I think when you talk about things like success, I can't. I didn't really think when I started to do the art gallery thing from the shop thing. I was so used to working with clients at the shop, people coming in and doing their motorcycles and doing their commercial projects. I got to know people very good, and then when I went to the gallery business, and it didn't start to work out right away. And I was kind of like, yeah, I kind of didn't think it was going to work out. Galleries, it's like I didn't really think I would fit into that fine art gallery niche. I'm an airbrush artist. They've always tagged us as carnival art or shirt art. I'm like, no. So I think it was a huge difference that I could actually take the airbrush into the art gallery and then make the industry proud to have an artist be successful with it. Because now more artists are showing up into the fine art business with the airbrush work. The Rubus, Guyton, all these guys are all airbrush artists, and it's now become an acceptable thing. A.D. Cook's another one, and we got a question there. Yeah, hey, Ed, how you doing, buddy? Why do you avoid fang teeth on tikis? Well, in traditional Hawaiian culture, any of the tikis that have fangs are considered to be sorcery tikis or evil tikis. And quick story is, so all the tikis that I paint all have square teeth. I never wanted, as I mentioned earlier, was to cross over the fine line of the culture. Or I don't ever make pictures of the tikis drinking, and partying and or doing anything illegal. I always try to respect that culture and make them fun island images that make everything, pono, we say here, acceptable. As long as it's on the good side, it's a good thing. But if you take them into the evil side with the fangs, that's a different culture. And even though in the California style art, you'll see tikis with fangs, there's nothing intentional to be sacrilegious to the culture, and you're not trying to be sorcery tikis. It's just they make them pointing teeth or whatever they do for fun. They just don't know any different. They don't know the culture that we live in. Mm-hmm. And there was a time when Craig Frazier was here in Hawaii with us, and we taught some classes with Craig, and Craig and I collaborated on a bunch of projects. And one of the projects we did was a Volkswagen Beetle for the Cutter Volkswagen dealership here. And I said, what do you want to paint, Craig? And he's like, I want to paint tikis. I'm like, of course you do. So he did some tikis on it. And he made the teeth pointing on the tikis on the car. And man, a couple of the guys that worked for me, Kamiley and Will, were freaking out because he made pointy teeth. These are local boys, they're just, they know what it meant. And so they're going, bro, we can't have those pointy teeth. We can't put that at Connor. So we had to actually go back and kind of stub down Craig's teeth on it. I think Craig got a little offended by it, but hey, man, we had to live here. I just, the boys were all worried that, we have like some kind of marchers coming down to the dealership, and tagging our pointy teeth car. But, I don't think that was really ever going to happen, but out of respect for him, we pulled it off, and it's all good. But yeah. So that's where that was.
Did you have a lot of? I know we talked about it earlier, but did you have a lot of fear from when you moved into the galleries? I know you said you was like, I don't think it'll work, but did you have like a fear, or did you just know it was going to work out in the long run?
Yeah, I've always been pretty determined to follow through on things. As a businessman. I mean, you had to go in both feet, right, Ralph? I mean, you kind of get into it and say, hey, I'm going to take on this location and we're going to do this, and I'm going to do it with both feet. So, I'm pretty determined to finish what I started. And so when I went into the gallery business, I did take it seriously. And I did see marketing, and I understand marketing. And I understood in the gallery business, that's why I did the one big painting and then mix up with little paintings. There's price points. Not everybody's got thousands of dollars, and there are people that just got a couple $100. So you have to kind of be able to sell art at all levels, And so, when I went into it, I didn't know if I was going to get the room to do that. So I kept both feet in. I did the shop, and as we had the shop, I had the guys working there. I would do the fine art stuff, and then I'd come home to my home studio. Our shop was in Eagle A for over 20 years, and I would work down there like 4 days a week, at home 3 days a week, or switch that off once in a while. And then I give the guys, as the fine art business started to grow more, and I started getting more locations. At one time in Hawaii, I had like 9 stores. I was working with the Pictures Plus company. They had stores all over the islands, and so they had my art in all of them. And I was doing a lot of flying around, driving around, servicing those galleries. And I gave the guys at the shop more of the work. And I think in the final days at Cosmic Airbrush was the shop. The final days of Cosmic, Mike and Mark did everything. All I did was work on the fine art end, but we kind of all just split the rent. So it was a real good relationship we all had in the end. And but yeah, I didn't know it was going to go for sure. And then And then, gallery will close. I mean, one day you have this successful location, and all of a sudden, not because of you, but because of the gallery, they decide to go out of business. And you're like, oh man, where do I go now? So there's that constant moving around and juggling it. Yeah.
Man, I think that would be a. I don't know if I could do fine. I'm saying this, but I'm pretty sure you probably. I don't know if I could do fine art, but I think it would be nice to have some artwork in the gallery. I think they have like a couple of shows like that here, but it's like I don't think it's like fine art. I think it's more so like just airbrush artwork that's not like regular T-shirt stuff. I was honored to see some of your artwork at Coast Airbrush.
Yeah, Coast Airbrush has. That's funny. Coast Airbrush has a tiki piece that I had given. I was at Michael Wally was a good friend of mine, and I was up at his muster bash a few years back, and his theme of the muster bash was vampires, and so it was the muster bash with the vampire theme. And so I did a tiki that had 20 teeth. He was a vampire tiki. He was flying with wings because of the theme.
Yeah.
And he was biting in a big piece of pineapple, and all the pineapple blood was dripping off his teeth. I mean, I still had to give it my style. And I think to this day, that's probably the only pointy teeth tiki I did. I didn't sell it in the galleries. I never showed it. I gave that piece to Dave Monarch at Coast Airbrush because after Mike passed away, I said, Dave, Dave, I'll let you take this piece and have it done at Coast because it was part of that whole history. And that way he would have it. And I think that's where it is today. So.
Oh, that's cool. So when I know I'm bouncing around, but when you did your book, how did you saved all your pictures? Oh, look, Pat Gaines.
Oh, Pat. Yeah, I did a couple shirts recently. The truth of that story is, we'll get back to the book and the pictures, Ralph, but the shirts I did recently, I found a box from, I said I closed Cosmic down 8-9 years ago, and I still got all the stuff, man. That's the problem, is you give it up, right? I'm like, I still got paint, I still got stuff, tape. I mean, I'm still using supplies and material or from the shop. Yeah. I mean, it lasts forever with what we do, and when you're not painting full cars and bikes, a can of yellow goes a long way on paint.
Yeah.
But I went through a box and went, what what's in this box? And I opened it up, and it's like 3 dozen brand new white Hanes BPT shirts.
Oh man.
And I'm like, man, what the hell am I gonna do with these? And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna paint something on them. I wonder if I could sell them. And I wonder if anybody would buy a shirt if I paint. I haven't painted a T-shirt in 30 years. And so I airbrushed 6 shirts, 6 of them. And I put a lot into them. It's not like, and me, I'm not a portrait guy. I tried to do all my tiki stuff. I did 3 tiki guys. I did a scullyfish, jellyfish. I did a couple turtles, just kind of my kind of stuff. And we sold 4 out of 6 of them right out the gate, which was pretty honorable. I will say that. I'm grateful for that, for the people that got them. Pretty collectible. I can't say I'm going to do a lot more of them, but I do have a few more shirts in that box, and I'll get to them someday. I'm still doing more templates. Not at this time. I don't have any plans for any more templates. But as for the pictures, Ralph, yeah, I'm a part-time photographer. Well, a lot of the photos I have of my work, I do a nice painting, and if I want to make a limited edition print out of it, the quality of the print needs to be high end. I mean, it has to be certain resolution in order for them to make it into a quality giclée or whatever I'm going to do with it. And so I used to take it down to a local printing place called Chromaco. And Chromaco, like, I take out a painting, and they charge me, $200-300 to do a scan, photograph, high resolution of it. That's great. But $200-300 a pop makes you kind of leery on which ones you do and which ones you don't do, right? I mean, I got 100 jellyfish paintings. I'm not going to scan them all. I mean, I'm going to scan just the good ones, right? So the the truth of that is I ended up going, you know what? I'm just going to buy my own camera equipment. So I set up here in my studio, I set up an area. I went and got a really nice Canon DLS camera with the Sigma lens, and I figured out all the lighting. And now I can photograph everything I got. And you know, little stuff or big stuff, and I want to print it, I can. If I don't want to print it, but all those files really played out having the book. The problem that I couldn't find photos of was my really early work. I mean, I started airbrushing 50 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And in my old first shop in Vegas, all the photographs that I had in there, I had in a portfolio that I lost at an airport in my luggage. My 2 photo albums of all my history before Hawaii are history gone. And they were just photos. They weren't negatives or weren't digital. They were photos. They're just history. So when we put the book together, you know, I had to contact old girlfriends and, you know, all that kind of stuff. What do you got, you know? And try to put, you know, find some old high school friends, anything I could put together. And in the starting days of airbrush, I mean, the stuff I was painting was like denim jackets. I was bleaching out legs on jeans and painting buildings and graffiti kind of style stuff on, putting rhinestones in it and all that. You know, and that was the coolest thing to do. And then airbrushing shirts. It wasn't like there was a lot of portfolio stuff, you know, besides people having me paint shirts. I mean, but that's no big loss. Someone asked me if I'm teaching again, and I don't teach anymore. And I kind of retired from teaching a few years ago, but I've been recently contacted by the asset people in Salt Lake City and Holiday, Utah, actually. And they're doing an air fair. You're familiar with the air fair they did 10, 20 years ago? Anyway, some pretty talented folks going to be there. Gerald Mendez, Craig Frazier, Steve Van Diemen, and quite a few others, and including myself. And so they're going to do a reunion of the original 10 artists that they had at the first one. And we're going to do that in September 24th. So I'm going to teach there. I don't know what I'm going to teach yet. So if anybody wants to reach out and ask for what they want me to do, they might want me to paint a turtle or a jellyfish, or they might want to make me paint a tiki or something like that. But I don't have a program yet.
Would you do the grinding metal over there, or no? You have to pre-prep. You would have to prep your metal before you go.
Yeah, it's tough, you know, and trying to get all that machinery with everybody running grinders and everything, it's a little complicated. I've tried to do a class with it once before, and you know what? But as far as I can get anybody in that art form is like abstracts. You know, anyone can, you know, grind an abstract and squirt some paint on it and get away with it. But some of the stuff I do is just too intense. And trying to teach a class of, you know, 60 people with it, I don't think there's enough extension cords for 60 grinders. So, you know, we'll see. I mean, I'll talk about it. I'll show people things, you know, and I'll answer questions about it. And sometimes that's all I need to get going, you know.
Yeah.
So that's probably
your technique or whatnot, how you get the pattern on there.
Yeah, I've done over 3,000 pieces in that technique.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you come up with it? You just one day you just saw it somewhere, or you just popped in your head and let me try this?
Actually, the first time I saw it, we were in our shop, our first shop in Kaimukini, waiting for the downtown shop, like 30 years ago. A guy brought in a piece of artwork that he had by Andres Notenbaum, a really great ground metal artist. But he does science fiction abstracts, and it was a space scene, if you can imagine that. And the guy brought it in because it got damaged shipping it to Hawaii. And being that, you know, we're refinish guys, you know, that he brought us to it, asked us if we could fix it. And so I looked at it going, wow, this is incredible, awesome stuff. The way it moved in the light and all that. And I'm like, it looks like, I mean, we had sanded a lot of motorcycle tanks. And, you know, like when you run a grinder on an aluminum tank, when you're prepping it, you see that pattern. You just never thought of that as art. You know, or a driveway gate with, you know, machine turns in it, or gym equipment, or elevator doors. No one just ever saw that as art. So I saw this as art, and I said, wow. So I did a couple panels that were just like some background stuff, like some water, you know, nothing serious. Didn't take it serious. and he's a very coarse grinder. And later, I got an aluminum motorcycle tank. I'll never forget it, called Fat Cats. And there was a trend in the motorcycle painting where we're doing a lot of bikes that were called diggers. Diggers were like this rigid, hardtail kind of bike that had a long, skinny design to it. Yappy did a lot of them. It was just a style of building that was trendy in the custom chopper scene. And the motorcycle parts that they were making them were aluminum. So I tried grinding the aluminum on this one tank. And then we did, I did a water pattern in it and some waves and a couple little scully things in it. I go, wow, that's really cool. And then I never really took it that seriously. And then I was, but I knew the art. I understood it. I went to a getaway and saw there was a couple guys doing backgrounds with it. Craig Fraser was doing some like aluminum backgrounds. He did like some flames on it when I saw one time. Steve Van Diemen had a panel where it had a bunch of circles in it. A couple other artists that were there, John Thomas and stuff, that had done some metal backgrounds, but they were just backgrounds. They were not the art. And then one day I did a panel where I actually did the bamboo in it. And I ground the bamboo. And then I said, okay, I did bamboo on the sides. And I painted a tiki in it, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget being in the gallery. And a lady said to me, she goes, I love the bamboo. Man, it's just amazing how that art just moves. She says, I just wish you didn't paint that damn tiki on it. And I thought, gosh, do you think maybe I could sell it just the bamboo? And man, that was the beginning right there. And so I did bamboo. I did some other tropical things. I remember the first hibiscus flower I tried to do. It's like the panel's this big, right? Yeah. So I tried to do the flower here. By the time I finished the flower, it's running off the panel because I don't have control of that equipment like I do today. Yeah. But back then, I was like, wow, still learning. You know, the panels are flying across the room. I learned how to tape them down. But as I got better and better, I started learning to find this tool and what does this do? And going into, like, I was traveling in Japan teaching, going into their, you know, in Asia, carving is intense. You know, I mean, like I was down in Jakarta, Indonesia, some intense carving in there. So there were tool places that I would get to and find their carving tools, little wheels, little burls, and I would buy all this stuff. My wife hates going into a tool shop. I'm like, what does this do? So I had drawers full of things, Ralph, and who knows what it'll do. But I did find a lot of things that this makes good palm trees. This makes good crescent. This will make little chicken feet. I mean, so it's the retention of all of those tools, all of what the time of what it is today, that the art is today. Mm-hmm. So, and you got to move fast. That's the thing. You got to be able to hang on to that gear and be confident in where it's going to cut. Can't be looking and thinking. You got to be just moving.
Yeah, confident strokes. You know what you're doing. Yeah. What's one lesson your job has taught you? You think everyone should learn at some point in their life? That's the last question.
Well, I think as an artist, you know, we all have the sensibility of you know, we enjoy our art. We love creating what we do. We love seeing people be rewarded with it. But as artists, we all have egos. And, you know, we all feed those egos, and sometimes they can get out of control, and sometimes it controls what you paint or how you feel about your art or what you're doing. And I think as an artist, the best thing we can have about it and hold on to is staying humble and just being appreciative of the gift that God has given us, and being able to use it and share it with people. And if it brings joy to people, just leave it at that. You know, if it brings you success, be grateful for it and just leave it at that.
That's good. That's a good one. Because I think being humble, staying humble is the most important part of it. A lot of it. You just got to stay humble about it. No matter how big you are, how low you are, just being humble about it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you taking the time. He said, Pat said, great answer. Appreciate your time, man. I know it's still early over there for y'all.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's still daylight here, I think. Yeah, it's dusk now. How about you? How's things in Houston, Ralph?
It's pretty good. Like I said, I've just moved, so I'm just starting. Feel like I'm starting over because I got to get everybody from over there to know I moved over here. But it's been working pretty good so far.
Well, you're a hard worker, man, you know, and the world appreciates that, you know,
Yeah.
and everyone will see it. I think this is great that you put together these kind of programs and help get the word out on the whole airbrush scene, you know. It brings us all together in our brotherhood, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the airbrush community is tight, but we're a tight-knit group of crazy guys. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. I appreciate your time, Dennis.
Yeah. Anybody has any questions, they can reach out to me. I'll answer anything. You want to send me a message or anything I didn't get to tonight. But, you know, I'm always available. I'll get back to you sooner or later, next couple of days or two. But please reach out if there's anything I can do, Danny, for you.
Yeah, I'm interested in probably trying to get a couple of prints from you. So I'm going to probably go look at your website.
And, let me know anything you need, bro. I'll get you hooked up, brother. It's all good.
All
right.
Bye.
Hey, guys. Aloha.
Mele Kaliki Maka. I still remember.
Yeah, that's it. And Happy New Year. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot.
All right.